Shelby Oaks is a horror film directed by Chris Stuckman. And
YouTube critic Chris
Stuckman made a horror film called Shelby Oaks. He did a famous crowdfunding campaign. It was a huge crowdfunding campaign, very popular. He started making the movie and then screened it. And then Neon saw the film and said, "Hey, this has potential," and gave him a little bit more money to make the film, which I think is admirable. They saw potential, wanted to actually have him get it across the finish line.
He even got a mentor to help him make the movie.
He did get a mentor, Mike Flanagan, who helped out with the film as an executive producer, probably giving notes, who knows, whatnot. But Shelby Oaks is about a missing YouTuber. They have a YouTube channel, like, in the early 2000s, early days of YouTube, called the Paranormal Paranoids. And they're a group of ghost hunters that visit haunted sites. And the first 20 minutes of the movie or so is this kind of found footage, footage from YouTube, footage of interviews, news reports, and they all, let's say that Riley among the group disappears and the others met a bad end. But no one can find Riley, played by Sarah Dunn. Her sister, Mia, is played by Camille Sullivan. And the movie switches around 20 minutes in from, I thought it was very clever. You're thinking, oh, the whole movie's found footage. That's cool. I've seen things like this before. But it switches then to more of a traditional narrative horror film out of the found footage. Something terrible happens and Mia receives a missing videotape, whole high 8 videotape, which was all the rage in 2008 when Riley went missing, and sees some additional footage giving clues as to what may have happened to Riley. Now, when Mia does this, Mia's covered in blood. Is the thing, wouldn't you, a horrible thing happens and her sister's covered in blood and the police come, all this stuff, and she's still covered in blood, which is kind of weird. Watching this tape, gets some clues as to what might have happened to Riley and goes on the hunt for her sister. She visits an abandoned prison, which was the same prison, oddly, where Shawshank Redemption was shot. Why would you go there at night? What are you doing? And she even has, Mia has a husband. He just kind of disappears. They talk earlier, a little plot point, that Mia and her husband couldn't have kids and their marriage is in trouble and whatever. But come on, she goes there alone at night with a flashlight that doesn't work eventually. But I will say the tone and the scares are there are maybe too many jump scares, but the creepiness of what's in the dark. And I will say he was reserved in the way things were revealed, because you get glimpses and then nothing. And I like that. It's kind of old school. Let's not show the alien too much in Alien. And there are glimpses of that in Shelby Oaks. It's a tight, close to 90-minute movie. Keith David is in it and gives Mia some advice. I love Keith David. Just a great actor from The Thing. The Thing. And look, the worst thing I can say about this movie is it's pretty by the numbers. It's basic, right? And I know a lot of people, because Chris Stuckman, who was a co-writer and directed the film, a lot of people want to maybe shit on him. They want to, and you know what? I can't do that because I've seen the movie. It's actually very good. It's very competent. its issue is it's very basic. I'm not surprised by this because Chris Stuckman's taste is very basic. He wrote a book like the 50 movies you must see or 100 movies. He wrote a book about the movies you must see, and they're all nothing special. His taste is he's very normy. And to be clear, that's okay. He has very mainstream taste. He wasn't recommending John Waters movies or movies like foreign films or underground films. His taste is pretty much runs the gamut of, is it in theaters and mainstream? I like it. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Take Chris Stuckman out of the equation. This is a horror movie you would go and see and say, oh, that was okay. And at the end of the day, it's okay. And look, it's his first feature. It got released to theaters. Kudos to him. Seriously, kudos to him to cross over and go, well, I'm covering movies on YouTube. I'm going to make a movie. He put his balls on the table and showed them to you. Okay, very graphic. Don't get that image out of your mind. But you know what? It's a decent film, competently made. The actors are very good. One of the weaknesses in a lot of first-time features are cast and location. And on that account, really good cast, solid cast. Locations, amazing. They're like, I'm being very vague about the third act. I don't want to tell you what happens. But it's very creepy. And so I gotta be honest and say, Stuckman, you did it. Good job. And let me just say this. When I made my first feature as producer and co-writer, a film called My Big Fat Independent Movie, I was inspired by Rod Lurie, someone who's been on the show. And he was a critic for Los Angeles Magazine in the 90s. And I remember having a conversation with him in like early 2000s. We were chatting and he said, a lot of people that, in only the movie industry do people say, you know what, I could do that. Not in sports or politics. Like people in the media are like, you can't say, oh, I could be LeBron James. I could be, whatever, Jared Goff, like, in sports. No, you can't. You're covering it. Same thing with politics, right? Although some people from the media have crossed over into politics, but only in film and TV, people who cover it, you know what? You can do it. And he did it. So kudos to him. Good first effort, a good movie, not a disaster. It's not bad. There's some logic things that are kind of dumb. But can I just say, I've seen worse movies, horror films by studios. So I'm sorry to tell you, folks, not bad. Good job, Stuckman. Maybe I really think the weakest part of the movie was the writing. To be fair, it was just kind of weak in that department. And he just needs to break out. And, but for a first effort, got to hand it to him. So worth checking out. And if you see it on streaming, I'm not going to say you'll have a great time, but almost every horror movie I see, I'm like, why is that person making that dumb decision? Well, you're getting a lot of that here. So, I give a bare recommend and a big round of applause to Stuckman for you did it. You made a movie. Good on you. Good on you.
All right. So to sum up, good, not great, but doesn't elevate the genre.
Exactly.